What is, hang on a second. Get this big weight here from the fly press kicking around my feet. Just get that out of the way, hang on. Okay, how are you guys doing today? Oh man, it's freezing cold in the shop today. We got hit with this huge amount of snow. Felt like a little kid today going out to play in the snow. Got to put on all my layers. I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers on today. I'm still cold. Thought today we'd do a quick tool time. It's been a while since we did that, so here we go. I thought this week we would quickly touch on swages and what they're used for. I had to make one the other day and I was like, hey, you know what? We should quickly talk about this. Just wanted to quickly touch on something. I feel a little nervous coming on here on YouTube telling you how to do all these things when there's like a million other people who are way more qualified than I am. So just take it as like, this is what I've done and it has worked for me, but I'm continuing to always learn and it'll be potentially different in, you know, a year or 2 years, whatever. I might learn a better way to do that. So just take that, you know, in context. Not everything I say is like, this is the way to do it because Tim knows what he's doing. It's not necessarily the case. Take this swage, for example, today. This is what I did. This is like the first time I've ever made one this big, so it worked really great for short term, but long term, I might come back and go, oh, I should change some things on it. So anyways, just thought I wanted to jump on and touch base so we're on the same page, you know? One-on-one, we got this. So, swages, what are swages? That's actually a good question, hang on. Let's ask Siri what she thinks. What is a swage?
All right, here's what I got.
Caused to be more favorably inclined to gain the goodwill of. No, that's not right. Hang on. Good old internet. Here we go. Swage. A shape tool or die for giving a desired form to metal by hammering or pressure. Sweet. Okay. Here we go. Take a look at this. This is what a swage looks like. Just ignore all this part. That's for a future video. That's how I'm holding this thing down on my die. But what you want to look at is just this, essentially. So all a swage is used for making round bar basically round and clean. You know, you can only go so far roughing it under your power hammer dies. And so if you need it nice and crisp and clean, this is when you bring a swage in. They come in all different sizes. I have them from like 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/4, etc. And then on the bigger sizes, I just make them if I need them. So this one is 2 inches. And basically it's just half round, and you need some kind of way of holding them together so that they come centered down on each other. So typically you just put a spring on it, just a piece of material that acts as a spring. And then you just stick your material in there and clamp it down. For these guys, because they were 2 inches and pretty big, I used, starting material was 4 inches square bar cut at about 2-inch slivers. And then I put it under the power hammer and just joggled it up a little bit so it was a little bit better set up to be the squishing in. Then I came in with my fullers, 1.5 inches, and then came in with my 2-inch, cleaned it up. When I come in with my 2-inch fuller, I try to go almost halfway, maybe 90% on both sides, and just leave a little bit so that when I get them all welded up and set up, then I can come in and get the final dimension. So basically it's just 2 halves. You just put your fullers in, doon, doon. Then I come in, and this is my trick. They didn't tell me this when I started making these things. I had to learn it the hard way. I actually come in with a bigger fuller by quite a lot, and I just round off the corners. And that's super important. I remember when I first made my first swage, I was like, oh yeah, just relieve the edges. So I just ground the edges a little bit. And then I stuck my material in, and maybe I'm at fault by always trying to push this too far. Like, I don't want to do any preform. I just want to stick my bar in there and hit it, get the material I want, you know, get that tendon out of there. Anyways, I stuck my bar in there, and I didn't grind the corners off very much. And as it clamps down, the extra material goes out, creates almost like a flashing, and then you turn it and you go back on it and it makes all these cold shuts. It's all gummed up, cut up, and it looks terrible. It's awful. So you actually have to do a lot of rounding out of the edges. If you would actually look at the die, the only part that you actually need to be the 2-inch diameter is like this much of the whole top radius. The whole rest of it you can actually just relieve out, and that's really good because you squish it, it goes oblong, and then you turn it 90 degrees and squish it back. It's not cutting into material. If it's cutting material, it's way, way too sharp. So that's my tip to you that I wish somebody would have told me at the beginning, is just really round them out. So that's what I'm doing with this preforming under the power hammer, and then I take the grinder and I'll grind them clean and relieve them. So then for attaching the handle, I just opted to use this 5/8 round bar. It was ridiculous how long I started with. It was like 60 inches or something. Basically, I just did it about 24 inches length with, it's like 24 inches overall, 6-inch ID, I think, on this guy. Again, just suit it to what you need. If you're not making a 2-inch swage, you don't have to be that crazy with it, right? Just figure it out what makes sense for you. Once I had that made, I did actually pre-drill some holes in the swages so that I could just slip the bar in. And then this is going back on a video that I touched base about how to attach handles to fullers. I'll link it here if you want to check that out. And I talk about sort of the pros and cons of doing it the traditional way versus welding it. So anyways, just for time's sake, I just opted to weld it on. I don't know how long-term that's gonna work. I think long-term it's probably gonna break, but I'll just re-weld it. I don't use this swage every day, so I'm not super worried about it. So anyways, once you've got your handle welded onto your 2 swages, then I stick the whole thing in the forge, heat it all up, and then this is where I come in with a really mint piece of final dimension. So in my case, 2 inches of round bar. Heat the swages up, stick the cold round bar in, and then I go over to the power hammer and I do the final squish. And I actually go pretty hard on it so that the 2-inch bar is fully set down and all the sides of the swage are contacting each other, so that I know that this thing, when it's cold, it can't keep building down and going under the 2-inch OD. Once you've got that, I cool it off, and then you've got your swage. It's actually really simple. These things it's pretty satisfying to take and use this tool because, you just stick your material in there and you just work it until those dies start really clamping on each other, springing, banging. And once you've got that, you just turn it and you get like perfect rolled steel. Looks so good. I love doing it. So much fun. So anyways, that's a quick tutorial on making swages. It's cold in here and I want to get going, and I'm sure you do too. So again, I would just love it if you would subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Please hit that like button if you found this useful, and we will see you next time. Oh, wait. Do you want to see what happened to my power hammer dies yesterday? Cannot believe this happened. It's actually really bad. Hang on, I'll grab it, I'll show you. This is my die from the Nazel, the 3B. Let's see if I can get this close to you can see. It's super heavy, guys, just so you know. Right in here, there's this huge crack right in there. It cracked right down all the way to here. This whole chunk is cracked. Looks like I'm gonna have to make a new power hammer die probably. I might try fixing it. Let's see if I can. Can't believe it though. It's running at full tilt. Bang, 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 all day. Suddenly the wedge comes loose. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Go to look at the wedge. It's cracked. I didn't make this die. This die came with the power hammer, but it's pretty unreal, isn't it? I think so. Anyways, thought you might find that interesting. Thanks for your time. See you next time.